Ashton for Hofstra, and Chandler Cree, who's had a busy night. You see Ashton there. He has not been tested as much, really mostly on that penalty kick, and always tough for the goalkeeper to have much of an advantage in those situations. Off and underway. Glad you could join us on a beautiful Wednesday night in Brookline, Massachusetts. Northeastern and Hofstra in a CAA matchup. These two teams, the two northernmost teams in the conference. Team that is primarily based in the Mid-Atlantic. This will be a Husky throw for Grant Elgin. He'll hand it off to Stach Duran, who was born in the United States but grew up in Shanghai. Hometown listed as Downingtown, Pennsylvania, but spent his formative years in China.
Yeah, Stosh walked on this year back in the springtime to this Northeastern team after spending a year on campus, and he's played in all but one game this season. He's been really good at left back, and he jumps up into the rush from left back to create offense as well.
We've talked about this before with Chris Bondi, but so often coaches are willing to go all ends of the earth to bring in talent, but sometimes it's the talent that's right in your backyard on campus in the case of Duran, and also Ayman Janawi, who played on the Northeastern club team, and they've been able to earn their ways on as walk-ons here to the big club.
And even Gerardo Milano, who's been so important in the midfield, he's another walk-on, or at least originally a walk-on for Northeastern, and now he barely ever leaves the pitch, playing the center of the midfield as a senior for the Huskies.
And the captain as well, along with Harry Swartz and Martin Nygaard. Ball boxed around here in the midfield, and Jacob Gokirk took quite a hit there. That draws the whistle from our referee, Robert Minichiello. He's assisted by John Jordan and Jerry Hobbs tonight. Jacob Goker played at the highest national youth level in Germany, FC Köln at the U17 and U19 level. Been a big part of this group. Hofstra trying to get it into the attacking third. It's Oscar Ramsey passing it back. Lindquist had it. Be a throw-in coming for the Pride. 6-3-3. Richard Nuttall, he's been an institution in Hempstead. This is his 30th season. 270 wins, 234 losses, and 68 draws. Took over as the head coach in 1989 and has done a really nice job with Hofstra, playing in a couple of conferences. Is thumped looking for Goker, sends one to Cree, knocks it out, still in the mixer. It's a chance for Ramsey, it doesn't stay on his foot, headed back out. Terrific job by Northeastern defending, and this will pop slowly and softly into the waiting arms, the freshman keeper.
Really strong reaction save from Chandler Cree. Goker got as good a strike as you could want on that volley. He crushed it, and Cree had to be ready, made a strong save, did not spill the rebound. Very well done.
Northeastern had a hard time getting it out of this part of the field at times in the first half. Really strong presence by the forwards and midfielders for Hofstra, but able to clear it to the far side, back-headed toward Kaba. Huskies at least buy a little bit of time for their backs and keeper to breathe. But it's right back to work here. Ramsey with the pass up the left side. Lindquist falls down after getting rid of it. That was Luke Brown, actually, who took the tumble. Brown has scored 3 times this season. Duran keeps it in the boundary. Strong in on him, and Stach Duran gets some space to work with. Long run for the walk-on. Chips it ahead. Nearly falling over was Nealis, and it squeezes all the way through to Ashton.
Good run by Duran. That was something at the beginning of the year that Chris Bondi said he really liked about Stach Duran, his ability to move up in the attack and create from the back. He showed it there. Good turn of pace and a nice ball forward that was defended well at the end.
We saw Brown fall down in the Northeastern third, and he has been a bit gimpy. He's taking a look at his left leg, his left foot. He's not been moving all that well. Similar to what we saw out of Tyler Welch after he took a spill, hurt his shoulder.
Brown now trying to run it off, and looks like he'll stay in the game. Out of Cambridgeshire, England.
Luke Brown Scored 2 goals earlier this season against Syracuse, had another against William & Mary in that 4-0 victory. He was first team all-conference his freshman season 2 years ago, made the third team all-conference squad in 2017. This is back-headed, O'Malley there. Brown tries to catch up. He gets taken down, no whistle, and they'll play on.
That looked like a clean challenge on my end. I really have to credit the officiating from Robert Minichiello there, because so often when you've already called a penalty one way, there's a tendency to want to give it back the other way and try to even things out. But that, to me, looked like a clean challenge coming in. Hofstra's really frustrated. They feel like they deserve a penalty, but I know we might see it again. I think it was a clean play. Oh, now on second look,
Jack Monty got a lot of leg there of Luke Brown.
And I think it's a just case for Hofstra, but it was coming from a tough angle for Minichiello as the referee. He was looking on a similar angle to me, and the angle we were looking on, it did look like Monty got the ball.
Lindquist, long ball in, headed out by O'Malley. Gerardo Milano got his foot on it, and he really saved an opportunity there against Northeastern. Falling down on a Goker. How is that not a handball? He's rolling around on it. Stays in play, and this is Storm Strongen. Out to Nygaard. Northeastern has Frankie De La Camara in here at the start of the second half. He did not play in the first 45.
Well, he played the first 5 games of the year as a starter. He'd missed the last 4, so good to see him out playing here in the second half.
Brown goes right off of Kaba. Boomerangs back toward Masood. Northeastern right now in survival mode with Hofstra coming down here for chance after chance. Duran again. See if he can get by Strong, and instead flips it up ahead to Elgin. Nealis comes to cut it off and sends it into touch.
You get the feeling it may be survival mode for the entire second half for Northeastern. Hofstra in the midst of their 8-game unbeaten streak, pushing a lot of bodies forward here. Huskies in a new situation, leading a game for the majority of the game. Again, they've won late so far most of this year. They just scored their first ever first half goal this season. So they're in a situation where they've got a team sending wave after wave at them. Comes down to being disciplined and organized on defense and forcing Hofstra to take shots from the outside. You don't want to let them break you down on the inside.
We know how much Northeastern head coach Chris Bondi loves his defense and what they've been able to do this season. Ranking in the top half of the league in goals allowed at just over 1 per game. And as a former elite defender, he may be happy to let his defense win this one, but wouldn't hurt to get another as Masood collided with Nealis and didn't win that battle. If he has to rely on 37 more minutes from his back line and his keeper to get a victory, he will not be ashamed to do so. This will be a throw upcoming for Hofstra. John Nealis, he was part of the all-rookie team as a freshman back in 2015. Scored 3 career goals, including 1 earlier this season at Syracuse. Headed back to the middle of the box. Ramsey trying to find some space, and it's served out by Monty. Northeastern defended that well. How many of these, though, can they stave off? Goker trying to center it. Has to get back to Strongen. And he goes out in frustration, kicks that ball toward the corner flag. It's a Northeastern throw.
Strong positioning there from Stash Duran to force Strongen out and out of play. Duran's played a really nice game, in my opinion, today.
There's been a lot of pressure here on Northeastern on the back end. Swartz absorbs a bump. He's got Masood up there, trying to get it to him. He just blows by Luka Tausch. That's the senior savvy from the 5th year, Harry Swartz, Needham, Massachusetts native. Went to Needham High School, played for the Boston Bolts Development Academy, and a big collision on that far side with Swartz. The Harry is down.
Gerardo Milano really taking exception to that contact. He came over very quickly and got into the grill of Matthew Vowinkle. Was a pretty crunchy challenge coming in low and from behind.
Luka Tausch, freshman from Germany. No card issued as Swartz is still down on the pitch. He's a tough guy. A couple of years ago, missed most of the 2016 season with a heel injury. Was able to come back and was one of Northeastern's best attacking players in his third campaign. It ended up being his redshirt junior season. And maybe no more important player from a heartbeat perspective than Harry Swartz. And now he is back up on his feet. Good to see a smile on his face.
I think he's asking why there was no card issued, because it was a crunchy foul from the backside. He'll have to come out for a bit. And Chris Bondi's also complaining, saying there should be a card given.
There will be a free kick coming for the Huskies. Milano and Nygaard will loom over the ball. And Ramsey will take as much time before being forced 10 yards back. And now a very delayed yellow card will come out for Tausch. That's his second of the season.
I think that's a proper decision made. Let's take a look at it once more. You're going to see coming in late from the side, low. That's a yellow card every day of the week in my book.
So it comes in the 55th minute. Northeastern will look to set something up. They haven't had much in terms of offensive chances since we broke from halftime. A bit of miscommunication as to who is actually going to take that. Nygaard does. It's headed in off the noggin of Jack Monty. His first career goal, and the Texan puts Northeastern up 2-0.
You say miscommunication, I say misdirection. They fake the run to make Hofstra kind of get off balance defensively, and after bluffing their runs, come through for real in the second effort and deliver a beautiful ball. Nygaard hooked it in perfectly. Monty, the glancing header, and Northeastern's got two today against a team that hadn't given up a goal in more than a month.
Either a miscommunication or a wonderful performance and execution in the end. Jack Monty heads it in with just a little bit of touch, and Northeastern has a 2-0 lead over Hofstra.
You say potato, I say potato, tomato, tomato. Misdirection, miscommunication.
So if you were saying, well, there's a bit of an asterisk with Northeastern breaking that shutout streak, given that it came on a penalty kick, well, maybe not so much anymore with a live goal scoring off that set piece coming on the yellow card from Luka Tausch. There's Cree tested right away on the other end. He scales the ladder to pull it in.
And again, he's gotten stronger and stronger, holding on to these rebounds now. And 2 goals. I know some coaches will say, and some people say, 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead. I always laugh at that. You'd always take a 2-goal lead over a 1-goal lead. And there's a cushion here for Northeastern. Chance for them to now really focus on being sound, not taking any big chances going forward. Disciplined defense, try and keep Hofstra to the outside of the 18 box.
Ooh, it's a contact sport even for the referee. Robert Minichiello really took a direct hit. I think he was able to shield himself a bit, but it hurt Hofstra's advance of the ball. Northeastern with it. De La Camara to the outside. Monty scored his first career goal. Gets it on his foot, back out to Milano. Good one-touch pass to Elgin, but too heavy on his touch. Northeastern now playing with a multiple goal lead for the first time since August 24th in their opener against Niagara.
We were just wee lads back then.
The world was a different place. Just over 2 months ago.
Temperature hasn't changed all that much, though. It was around 90 degrees that day. It's got up as high as about 85 today.
I think it was still sunny at this point in the evening, but temperature-wise, probably pretty close. Over 80 degrees today. It'll be short-lived. Be a lot cooler coming up, but we'll take an Indian summer day when we get it up here. Now Hofstra playing in a position that it has not had to deal with, playing from behind. As a team, they are 5th in the CAA in goals per game at just under 1.5. A year ago, they averaged less than a goal per game at 0.8 goals per contest. That was only 7th in the CAA. But they have been able to ride their defense the last few years into the CAA tournament. Under Richard Nuttall, he's taken his team to the CAA tournament 6 consecutive years, 7 of the last 8.
And they've probably already done enough to make the CAA tournament this year with 3 wins, 9 full points. Don't see any way that doesn't put them into the top 6. They're playing, though, first, ideally for a bye, a top 2 seed, and at worst, a top 3 or 4 seeds so that you would host the quarterfinal if you don't get the bye into the semifinals.
A great job by Monty right there. He took some direction from Cree, got himself between where the goalkeeper was and where Matthew Vowinkle was, and really slowed down Vowinkle from being able to make a challenge when he was the only blue shirt in that area. Joker being urged by his teammates to take it into the middle, and I think a little bit of frustration. We're starting to hear some of the communication from our broadcast spot.
That was Luke Brown, who really wanted the ball in the middle. Instead, the pass went outside and was off the mark.
This is Swartz. Tried to center it, canceled out. O'Malley heads it forward, gets it back. Things moving a little bit quicker here for Hofstra. Now in a 2-goal hole. When it almost appeared like it got the arm of Tausch.
Yeah, it really helped settle things down for Northeastern. Remember, it was a pretty helter-skelter start to this second half. Hofstra put a lot of pressure on. Goal has seemed to re-energize the Huskies here.
De La Camara and Duran with Nygaard nearby, and they go back to the center back, Mustafa Sam. He's been so steady back there.
Yeah, I think he's been one of Northeastern's best players the entirety of this season, having an all-league type year at center back. Key cog in why the Huskies given up only 10 goals all year. That's now fewer goals than Hofstra's allowed all season.
How about Northeastern using the entire width of the field to play keep away there and eventually advance it? Swartz gets it. Nealis deflects off him. Masood plays to Swartz, looks to center, fires and scores! Harry Swartz, his first of the year on a cannonball from the right side. And it's 3-0 Northeastern.
Wow, that was a cracker from Swartz. Great ball movement from Masood to play it wide to Swartz, and he ripped that into the top corner. That is one of the goals of the season for the Huskies, who have broken out in a huge way. Theme continues for Hofstra. Either they shut you out or they get torched for big goal numbers.
The 5th career goal for Harry Swartz and his first as a senior. No big thing for him as he celebrates with his teammates, and Northeastern goes up 3-0 against the hottest team in the country.
Doused a big bucket of water on that fire here today with the 3 goals for Northeastern.
Swartz involved with 2 enormous plays. He drew that yellow card that set up the 2nd Northeastern goal, and then he goes ahead and scores the 3rd. There'll be a free kick coming up here for the Pride.
Yeah, and it goes mentioning, so Hofstra, 8 games in a row, they'd shut opponents out. The 4 games in the season before that, they'd given up 9 goals. So now, in the 5 games they've given up goals this year, they've given up 12 goals. They're an average of like 2.5 per. They're not just giving up 1 goal when they give up a goal this year.
The Huskies matched their biggest goal-scoring output of the season. They did it in the opener against Niagara.
And all of a sudden, Northeastern has scored 5 goals over the last 2 games as well. Started to get the offense going.
Lindquist with a left foot. Sam sends it right back out where it came from.
Yeah, after that Niagara game, they hadn't scored more than 1 goal a game until the 2 goals against William and Mary last time, and now 3 today. This team's going to have all kinds of momentum. It makes sense that they're starting to peak now, because think how many young players, how many freshmen particularly, are seeing a lot of regular playing time for this team.
Nobody got that header, and Sam is the one to push it back out. Leonard Seufert just entered for the first time. He's from Germany. Played now in 10 games this season. Brown fires, and it's just right of the target. Pretty good by Luke Brown to get something close on that bouncing ball. 29 minutes to go. Huskies with the 3-0 lead. Long ball up for Harry Swartz. He stays on. Swartz on the doorstep, and out comes Ashton to smother it.
Boy, Northeastern's just being able to get bodies behind a Hofstra defense that hadn't been broken down much at all lately. It was another really good over-the-top ball, and Swartz had a good look at it. One touch just a hair too heavy for him there.
Northeastern leading 3-0. They have been outshot 10-5 in this game. It's now 10-6, but of their shots, 5 of the 6 have been on target, and 3 goals have gone in.
And on the other side, 4 saves for their freshman keeper, Chandler Cree. Martin Nygaard's also been credited with a team save. Remember when he nodded that ball away after Cree was out of the cage.
That ball nearly stayed in. The goal kick coming up here for Northeastern. Coming into this game, Bill, it seemed like this was not going to be a great matchup from Northeastern when you consider the strengths of the two teams and where Northeastern maybe didn't stack up as far as its offense, especially early in games. And you've got a Hofstra team that hasn't given up a goal in nearly 6 weeks, but Northeastern has turned that completely on its head and is 27.5 minutes away from putting together a second CAA victory. Swartz again fighting for every ball here. Duran has to slow down to take it in. We're talking about the matchup. Kind of shows what we know when we come into these sorts of things, right?
That's why they play these games and don't just throw it into a computer simulation based on the data that's out there. Huskies, they've just come out and played a really disciplined game, a really energized game, and they've taken advantage of the chances in front of them. You aren't going to get that many chances against good defensive teams, but you'll get a few. There's no team that's going to keep you without any chances. You have to just be able to take advantage of the chances you get.
Well, it's a 5-on-4 here. Is taking a tumble on the outside was Ramsey.
Should be a card on Monty, but I think he's going to be lucky and get away without it. Stepping in from behind with a path toward the goal. Jack Monty, more often than not, would be going into the book with a yellow card in that situation.
And that was actually Hendrik Hebeker, Cologne, Germany native, who took that spill. And a free kick coming up. Ramsey and Lindquist, rather Strongen and Lindquist lining up over it. It's Lindquist to the right of the target and just beyond Vowinkle, who looked to bicycle and keep that ball in.
Substitutions.
Get substitutions on both sides.
Yeah, this game's a great story of who's taken advantage of their chances. Northeastern's had only 1 corner kick today, turned it into a penalty kick and scored. Northeastern's taken advantage off a set piece and scored. You look at Hofstra, they've had 4 or 5 good set pieces, haven't scored. 3 corner kicks haven't been able to score. So Northeastern's just taken the opportunities in front of them and done a better job with them.
One of the Husky starters, Jacob Marin Thompson, comes in for the first time in the second half. Meanwhile, Felix Smith-Holly, who saw a little bit of playing time in the first 45, he re-enters the game. Smith-Holly from Oslo, Norway, from the same city, but went to different high school than his teammate Marcus Lindquist.
It's a big city.
Yeah, one of the bigger ones in Norway. Top of the box, and that's canceled out by Elgin as he sends that to the sideline. Martin Nygaard from Lunner, Norway. The 3 Norwegians on the pitch. Toss from Nealis. All the way out to Lindquist. The Huskies really in good position right now, up 3-0. Vowinkle kicking it to himself. Knocked out by Duran.
Strong recovery there by Stosh.
Here's O'Malley just outside the box, and Cree pulls it in.
Boy, his hands have gotten so much better in the second half. he's been so aggressive from the start today. He doesn't see a cross or a free kick that he doesn't want to go out and try to run down. Sometimes, if anything, he's a little bit over-aggressive, but there, picked his spot well, read that ball. It was a really well-struck cross. That was tremendous keeping from Kriu. At this point, has a ton of confidence. Not only has he made some big saves, but he has a 3-goal cushion to work with back there.
Yeah, you can afford to take some risks. You've got 3-goal advantage. Pass was just a little bit behind Giron. And as we get close to the midway point of half number 2, Northeastern likely is going to have to fend off wave after wave here from Hofstra. Came into this contest 3-0-1 in conference play this season. The only game they had won was a tough scoreless draw down in North Carolina at UNCW. More substitutions here for Northeastern. Supinski checks in. And also, for the first time tonight, Eamon Janawi.
Alex, another thing that we haven't talked about, but would be really big if Northeastern can hold on here, they would be setting the record over the past couple of years for most wins. They'd passed last year's win total, only won 3 games last season, 3-12-3. This would already be win number 4 with still a big bulk of the year to go.
Husky throw headed for Supinski. Northeastern has 2 more home games to go. They will face a Drexel team that's been better than advertised, at least coming into the season. They've had much better results on the pitch. That'll be a tough matchup on Saturday.
Another really young team, but their young players are playing very well.
Whistle going against Hofstra. Seeing a lot of frustration from the guys in blue and gold.
Well, we asked how they'd respond to giving up a goal after hadn't done it in the last 8 games. They responded well to the first goal. I think it was the second goal that seemed to kind of get this Hofstra group down, and now the body language isn't great. The frustration's clear, and it's a situation they're just not familiar with being in. Got to learn how to play through tough games like this.
De La Camara's kick sent back out. Supinski will pass it back to Stash Giron. Chris Bondi really building this program. There's no shortcut to building a successful team in any college sport. Sometimes you have to take your lumps, and that's what the Huskies have done the last few years, and you hope that it leads to results like the Huskies are likely going to end up with tonight.
It's good work between Nygaard and Jawani to get to that ball, keep it from being a corner kick. Instead, Nygaard's slide tackle went to Jawani. He knocked it out for the throw-in instead, which changes the percentage that you'd score coming in. A lot harder to score off the throw than off a corner kick.
Big throw. Kree's going to jump for it. Boxed around and boomed out of there by Supinski.
Those are the situations. There have been a few of them tonight where he's almost too aggressive. He's gone out for some of these throw-ins that he can't get to. And Alex, if you're a keeper and you decide to come out, you better get there, because if you don't, you just leave the whole gaping cage free.
Hofstra had a couple of early chances when Kree was not as sure-handed as he's been in the second half. They weren't able to cash in. Boy, do they look like missed opportunities right now, down 3-0. Huskies have not had a ton of chances, but they certainly have been able to cash in.
That's what he said. The story of this game is one team's taken advantage of basically every good chance it's had. The other team's missed a number of them.
Tausch thumps this to the far side. Chance for Hebeker, and that will be played out toward the sideline, a throw-in. Again, another good job by Northeastern to avoid giving up the corner kick. Get another substitution coming on for Hofstra. Looks like they've got 2. They've got Gennaro Velarde getting set to come in, but referee actually is going to wave off the substitutions. They'll have the throw in before.
Yeah, ball out for that long throw instead of the corner.
And that great job rising up Monty.
Yep.
Really having an impact. He didn't play a lot early. This is only his 4th game of the season, as this will be played out for a goal kick, and we'll go back downstairs to Ben.
Very much, Alex, and you mentioned that Northeastern has looked very good on defense. A big part of the reason for that is number 5, Martin Nygaard. He came into today's game as one of just 2 Northeastern players to have appeared in every single minute of the season for Northeastern. He's showed up on offense with an assist tonight, and he's showing up on defense. And with the freshman goalie in net, making just his 3rd start of the year, he's been a very big presence at the back. Alex?
Thanks, Ben. Huskies with the 3-0 lead in really good shape, and you figure they're in probably good enough shape at this point with 18 minutes that they can really mix in some other guys and maybe give players who have been out there for every single minute a breather, considering they've got another conference game coming up in 72 hours.
Yeah, play on Saturday night against Drexel. It's tough as a coach. You want to make sure you finish this game strong, but at the same time you do need to balance the freshness of your players. I think if the lead's still 3-0 in another 5 minutes, we'll see some substitutions.
Velarde, whose brother played for the team, tried to center it.
If you're Hofstra here, you really need a goal in the next 3 to 5 minutes to then have any shot at mounting a comeback.
This is thumped and just wide of the target off the foot of Felix Smith-Holly. Boomed that ball from about 35 yards out. Cree fortunate it was off the mark. Another look.
Good look from Holly, who's getting a chance to see all different parts of Long Island during his college career. He started in Queens with St. John's and then moved out east to Hempstead and Hofstra.
Cree sends it out to the midfield. Northeastern, at this point, they are very comfortable keeping basically all 11 players on this side of the pitch and just believing that they can keep that 3-0 lead.
Oh, yeah, when you're up 3-0, you just want to put as many bodies behind the ball as possible and become a block of 10 or 11 back there. You really do sometimes just park the bus.
Duran centers, knocked back down. Gennaro Velarde. He hadn't played since the Harvard game. Hofstra earlier this season beat Harvard down in Hempstead 3-0.
I think Hofstra's already made that move of playing some guys who don't play all that often, and probably for a couple of reasons. First off, the rest reason. They have a game on Saturday too, but secondly, some of this is message sending. If you're Coach Nuttall as well, and you've got a lot of guys who played regularly and you're not pleased with today's effort, just make them cool their heels for the final 15 minutes.
Cree came way off his line there, had to scramble to get back in. He's fortunate nothing came on. Velarde looking to turn the corner, and that will be played out for a goal kick. Great work by Duran. Giving up his body at the end, too, going into the wall that's used as left of center field for the baseball facility here.
We've said that phrase, great work, about a number of different guys said. I think that's another big key to this match. Northeastern's come in and had an incredible work rate in this match. It feels like it's been a full 11 out there. Defensively, they've played really well. They've moved the ball on offense, and they're just working really, really hard in movement, in unison, type of effort you need to win a game like this.
Ramsey collides after passing that forward, and he is writhing in pain. And we'll get a yellow card coming up on Northeastern. Looks like it's going to be against Mustafa Sam. For Sam, that is his 3rd of the season.
Yeah, he just slid in to try to get to that loose ball, but he was late coming in. It's probably the correct call in that situation, and it sets up a very good look at goal on the free kick here for Hofstra. You get the feeling that this needs to go in if the Pride want to come back. You'll see it. Sam was trying to get there, and he came in late and high. It's a dangerous play coming in on Oscar Ramsey.
And Ramsey sold it as well. Wanted to make sure in a game that not every hard hit has been leading to a foul or a booking. He wanted to make sure that one got noticed by our official. This is sent under that 3-man wall and off the foot of Jack Nuttall, the son of the head coach.
Under the wall can be tricky sometimes. When you are the keeper, you don't see it, and all of a sudden it pops up beneath your defenders. It's a good strike, just wide. Again, it can be sometimes the element of surprise when you go for the low set piece beneath the wall. Gerardo Milano's just come back into the game for Northeastern, a guy who will help work hard and defend it down the stretch of this one in the final 15 minutes.
And we talked about Harry Swartz being a heartbeat of the team. Well, you know how there's two bumps to a heartbeat. One half is Gerardo Milano, the other is Harry Swartz. They really are the heart and soul of this Northeastern soccer team. Both contribute in different ways. Milano's not necessarily going to be a guy to put one in the back of the net.
If we're really getting deep into the cardiovascular thing, there are four
chambers.
Four chambers. So you can pick two more players that have made up the heart of this performance. And if I had to name a couple more, I think you start at center back with Mustafa Sam, who has had a tremendous game back there defensively. He's played really well at center back, and I like the way that Stas Duran has played on the outside left. So he'd be the fourth chamber today. I think he's covered a ton of ground on the left side, going up and coming back.
Let me know when we're getting into ventricles,
and aortas, and all that stuff. Yep.
Huskies nursing the 3-0 lead and 14 minutes to do so here. I think at this point they want to be able to put a shutout in their column as well. Northeastern does have 3 shutouts this season. Hofstra has been shut out 4 times and has been king of the shutouts. If you joined us late, the Pride came into tonight's game having pitched 8 consecutive shutouts. They hadn't given up a goal since September 2nd. That ended on a penalty kick by Mustafa Sam in the first half. Ended that shutout streak at 784 minutes and 37 seconds. And the Huskies have tacked on 2 second-half goals to make it look rather lopsided right now.
I think this is a scoreline, if it holds up, that will send some shockwaves through the CAA when coaches look around tomorrow. I think coaches already knew that this was a better Northeastern team than the past couple of years, but this will really serve notice.
O'Malley shot partially deflected by Sam, and Cree jumps over it.
That's tremendous recovery speed from Sam. That looked like it was going to be a clean look for O'Malley. Sam flew into the picture out of nowhere. Look how far he goes. Sam sprinting across. Excellent work.
Able to absorb some of the heat from that shot, slow it down, and not throw off the trajectory too much to throw off the keeper. Big collision, but they play on. Milano somersaulting over Oscar Ramsey. The Kiwi is from Auckland, New Zealand. Huskies preparing to bring in another substitute. The next opportunity looks like same will be for Hofstra. The Pride will head back home and take on JMU in what will be a big-time matchup in the conference.
Yeah, you want to lick your wound a little bit, and all of a sudden you're taking on the team that's first in the conference. Tough back-to-back for Hofstra. And for Northeastern, if a win here would put them to 6 points. That Drexel game presents a huge opportunity. You get another win. You beat Hofstra today, Drexel on Saturday. You're basically guaranteed into the CAA tournament at that point. You'd be in a really good spot, and all of a sudden you'd be fighting for a top 4 seed and a possible home game in the CAA tournament.
Harry Swartz checking back in. Dom Galletti comes in for the first time in this game as Chris Bondi continues to cycle through his bench.
Like we said, once you got to that 15-minute mark and under, you feel comfortable enough to start really going deeper down your bench, resting some players, and allowing some of your key players to take a load off here the last 10 minutes and seeing some of your other players on the pitch to take this game to its conclusion.
Huskies on their way to win number 4 of the season and number 2 in the CAA. This is Galletti, his first touch. Not sure if that was passed back to Sapinski or a shot, but it'll be a goal kick coming up here for Hofstra. And more substitutions for the visitors. They'll bring in Guðmundur Jónasson, who's only played in 41 minutes this season. This is his 6th game. He's from Reykjavik.
You knew when we looked at the pronunciation guide today that Guðmundur Jónasson was going to get in at some point. It just had to be.
A team with 8 different countries represented. 14 players from outside the United States on this 24-man roster. Everyone has to learn the universal language of the beautiful game.
One of the interesting things that we don't always talk about when we talk about all the international players that play at the college soccer level. Impressive on top of that a lot of these kids, they're taking college courses in their second or third or fourth languages. College tough enough for most people when you're taking it in your first language. Imagine sitting in like an economics class and learning econ in your second language.
Say that's a separate language in and of itself, even if you're an English speaker taking econ in English. That would have been the case for me. Under 10 minutes to go as this is backheaded and saved by Nygaard. He thumps that out of there after it went over Cree.
Second time Nygaard's done that today.
Bicycle attempt and held onto by Cree. That was Smith-Honley.
Now Cree's played really well today, but I do think when he goes back and watches the tape and works with the coaching staff today, they'll try to keep him a little bit closer to net. That was another time where he was just too far away from goal, so that header back was past him. How about the day Martin Nygaard's had there defensively, twice taking the ball off the line and keeping it out?
There's no way of really knowing this, but you wonder how much confidence you get. You score your first goal of the season,
yep.
And while he's not necessarily been involved in the attack tonight for Northeastern, just how much of a boost it gives you to your overall game that when you get back there and do your job on defense as a back, that say, oh, I feel good about the way I'm playing, and maybe that's part of the recipe for a successful night like that for Nygaard.
I think that definitely helps, and he did pick up an assist. He kicked a free kick that Jack Monty headed in, so another point for Nygaard coming off the goal last time.
Well, if you want to support Northeastern student-athletes and earn VIP access to some of the coolest sporting events in Boston, well, we've got the answer. Visit gonu.com/giveonline to learn how your contribution to the Howland Huskies Fund can have a huge impact on the future of Northeastern athletics. Exciting times for Northeastern as new branding was debuted just at the start of the season. That logo you see and the score bug at the top of your screen. New uniforms for all the teams, and there'll be a new court design and new rink design over at Matthews Arena for the basketball and hockey teams. And teams are having some really good seasons as well on the playing field or on the court.
How about hockey season getting underway? Women's hockey team picked up a win against crosstown rival BU. Also a tie last week. Men's hockey be getting going now as well. And like we mentioned a little while ago, before we know it, basketball will be playing inside of a month until the basketball openers.
Coming off an amazing year on the ice for both the men's and women's ice hockey programs. Bean Pot Championship for Northeastern for the first time since the early 90s.
Women's team won the Hockey East Championship as well to advance to a second straight NCAA tournament.
Galletti passes for Sam, who comes all the way up, makes a deep cross just over the head of Dan Munch, who hadn't played until just a few minutes ago entering the contest. Munch scored the game winner in the 110th minute against Holy Cross. A 1-0 Husky win that really seemed to jumpstart things for the Huskies this season.
It did. I mean, going into that Holy Cross game, Northeastern had lost 4 in a row, all by 1 goal. They had controlled that Holy Cross game but hadn't scored. It kind of seemed like they were destined for 0-0 and would have been really disappointing at 1-4-1. Instead, they've come out, they've won 2, they've drawn 1, they've lost 1 in the last 4, and a win here would give them 3 wins and a draw in their last 5, a couple of conference wins and more wins overall than the entirety of last season.
Huskies hoping to continue this momentum into the weekend and throughout the rest of the campaign. Hard to believe that we are getting close to the home stretch in the college soccer season. About a month from now, there'll be conference tournament time.
Yeah, the season flies. I mean, it's a pretty condensed season. Starts the last week of August, and regular season only runs through October. So before you know it, you're into the stretch run.
They play to the advantage here. This is Botti on the outside. He crosses, and that's over his target and just past Jory Garcia, who recently came in. Garcia from Great Neck, New York, transferred from SUNY Old Westbury, where he was an all-Skyline first team conference player. Huskies will take Marin Thompson out. Frankie De La Camara checks in. Grant Elgin will substitute for Adama Kaba. Final 5 minutes here from Parsons Field. 2 second-half goals have really made this just a lot of extra time for Northeastern to grind this out.
And statistically, the shots are at 17-6 in favor of Hofstra, but there are a lot of games where you say the shots are misleading. And the shots are a little bit misleading here. Hofstra's had to take a lot of shots from a long way out. Northeastern's put 5 of its 6 shots on goal and created high percentage shots whenever it's had the opportunity to.
Well, if you were to take away the score graphic and not show the sequences with the 3 goals and watch the other 89 minutes and 20 seconds of this game, you'd say, okay, Hofstra probably has played a little bit better, but score obviously dictates the way you play as a group, your strategies, and certainly a lot for Northeastern in this second half.
Hofstra's had a lot of the ball, but remember that some of that was a stylistic decision today. So we get a foul going against Hofstra. Chris Bondi decided today, which is not something Northeastern generally does, to play a 5-4-1. That's a conservative setup. You almost cede the fact that you're going to give up more possession, and you're willing to hunker down and force shots to come from the perimeter. So they've played right into the game plan they set up, and it's worked out really well for the Huskies.
It always feels good as a head coach when you have that type of game plan, and it works out the way it has tonight against a team that had been playing at the top of its game. Program record 8 consecutive shutouts. Longest streak in the NCAA. Unbeaten streak of 8 games, going 6-0-2 in that span for Hofstra. And rising up the RPI rankings as well. 4th highest RPI rank from a CAA team, number 65 coming into tonight. And Northeastern actually has the next best rank in the RPI at 133, so a huge gap in computer rankings between these two teams.
And some of that comes down to what you do in the non-conference in terms of the difficulty of non-conference schedule. Northeastern did not schedule the toughest out-of-conference schedule in terms of teams that are also ranked highly in the computer, whereas Hofstra played a lot of big conference teams. UNCW has played a lot of ranked teams out of conference. That's part of the reason the numbers are so skewed, and that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, the RPI is not always the best way to measure teams, because you can get a team that's just played a lot of teams that are really, really good but hasn't fared all that well, and they'll have a better computer ranking than a team that maybe has won a lot but hasn't played as many teams with high computer rankings.
Right now the strategy for Northeastern is prevent a goal here. Keep that shutout going for the next 150. Geron plays this out. Of course, the scheduling for Northeastern was almost in direct response to playing so many good teams in the non-conference last year, and while playing them tough, not having much success. This is twisted and knocked out by Cree. One more save for the highlight reel for Chandler Cree.
That was quite the ball curling in. Tremendous cross from Pete Mayer, and it nearly got onto the back of Felix Smith-Hull, who just whiffed on it.
Feeling like the end of the first half where Hofstra is just scrambling to get something home. Closing in on a minute left. Northeastern with a 3-0 lead over the visiting Pride. Storm strung, and he's been one of the best players on the pitch here for Hofstra today. He gets tied up in the corner.
Oh, I'm just so impressed with this work rate and effort from Northeastern today. Like you said, coming in on paper, this was not a great matchup for the Huskies. They've struggled to score this year against a team that has been so hard to score on, but you look at what Northeastern's done today. They've executed their game plan. They've stayed in formation. They've been disciplined. And most importantly, they've proven to have the finishing touch again for the second game in a row with the 3 goals. And all of a sudden, maybe you wonder if the monkey's off the back of this Husky team in terms of scoring goals. They're looser in front, not getting as tight, and should give them confidence to keep on scoring goals the rest of the way.
One last chance on a corner kick for Hofstra to break the shutout. Headed up, middle of the box, and Northeastern will turn the tables on Hofstra tonight. Not only do they end the longest shutout streak in the NCAA this season, but they blank the Pride with a 3-0 victory at home.
Huge effort by Northeastern, handing this Hofstra team its first loss in more than a month. All of a sudden, Northeastern bumps up into 4th place in the conference and putting some heat on some of the teams in front of him. This is a huge step towards making the CAA tournament.
Big